Closing beat, everybody. Happy Tuesday. How's it going out there? Hope you had a good long weekend, actually. Holiday shortened week here for the stock market. And also a shortened week for the closing beat. Remember, there'll be no show. That's this show that you're watching now. On Friday, I'll be in Gainesville. If you want to come say hi, I'll be up at the University of Florida, but won't be doing a show on Friday. This is a quick show that we do every day. It's called The Closing Beat. We go over the stock market, hence the graphics and stuff that you're seeing on the screen there. Just like to keep our clients updated, as well as those of you that like to come along and participate. I'll go through everything that I'd like to go through today, and then if you have questions, I will take my time and try to answer your questions at the end if I can. Remember, I can't give specific advice only to customers. Get in a lot of trouble for that, and I don't want to get in trouble. Things are good. We're not in trouble or anything. Speaking of getting in trouble, other advisors give us a hard time for this, but we're playing a game. It's called Guess the Dow. I will send you a $100 gift card, or Jazz Wealth will send you a $100 gift card. If you can guess the Dow, tell me where you think the Dow is going to close. If you're the closest without going over, you can't go over, just whoever has the closest guess there. We will announce the winner, not on Friday, but we'll of course announce it on Monday because we're not going to do the show on Friday. But typically every Fridays we do announce that. It's a weekly game that we play. You can go to the website in the bottom right-hand corner of your page and play along if you'd like to. One of our customers was a winner last week. And so rather than take the gift card, they chose to have their account credited the $100. We could do that as well if you are a client here of Jazz Wealth. Whole point of this is just basically marketing. You get the idea, right? It's just marketing. Hope you keep us in mind there. And so let's get to the stock market today. You got the Dow lower by 151.8 on the S&P, and the NASDAQ down 18. You already know enough. If you watch this show enough times where something's off right away, when you notice that the Dow is lower by about twice as much as the S&P, then you know that something is off, whether it's in the Dow or the S&P. You want to take a look. A lot of times it has to do with the Dow because that's less stocks. There's only 30 in that one. There are 505 inside the S&P 500. So let's take a look. We got the the S&P 500 just pulling back off of highs. It was a little bit day of a pullback there, not too big of a deal. The Dow we'll cut to in just a second, but the Dow also pulling back from its highs, and the NASDAQ after hours here is basically a little bit flat, but that did pull back a little bit as well. All still sitting at record highs in a very tight, consistent uptrend here, and today can be boiled down into three separate categories, and I think we'll do the show this way. Hopefully I don't mess this up, but you've got three focus areas. Overnight you had the virus that is like the latest SARS or, bird flu sort of thing, but going on over there. Apparently we're going to take it seriously. So that did hurt the Chinese markets, Hong Kong. Basically, you could actually go through here. You could see there are U.S. ETFs. If you look at like the China large cap, this is only 30. This is kind of like the Dow 30 over there. That got hit pretty hard, down about 5%. And then the closer kind of thing to our S&P 500 is a ticker symbol called Asher. These are the A shares over in China. There's about 300 names that make up this one. They were hit by about 3.25% as well. All to say that the first thing that you could break today down into is just that sort of virus concern there, the outbreak. There was actually news of, I guess, one confirmed person in Washington possibly having the same virus. And so that hurt not only China stocks, but a lot of stocks around the world, actually. So anything that was travel-related, airline-related, transport-related, leisure, cruise lines, things like that, even booking sites like Booking.com, they were lower on the day, largely because of that virus, how it's going to affect, general tourism if that continues to spread, and obviously the concern of that happening. Now, that was the first thing. The second thing was Boeing. I already mentioned that. So Boeing was a little down lower today. That was the second one. We'll cover that in a second. And then we'll call the third one earnings/analyst comments. Today's Tuesday, but we were closed yesterday. These are typically days where analysts get a lot of their comments out. So you had everything from, Tesla, Costco, Apple, with a lot of different upgrades out there. And then, of course, earnings, which we will cover. So if we start with the virus that was going on out there. I already mentioned a few things here. You've got airline stocks. United Airlines down by about 4% on the day today. You had American Airlines also lower on the day. Now, to be fair, some of this is going to bleed into the Boeing news with like Southwest Airlines and everything, because Boeing, which is the second thing, actually says that they're not expecting their 737 MAX to be ungrounded. I think that's the word they use, ungrounded, until possibly the end of the summer. While that's obviously bad news for Boeing, they also applied for $10 billion in loans, by the way. Side topic. the problem with the airlines is that, okay, that's peak season, right? We were hoping that they would be up in the air and running for the peak summertime season. It's not looking like that's going to happen. And so because of that, you got the airlines down in addition to the viruses that obviously we've been talking about. All right, we take a look at Boeing. That's the second one that we were talking about there. Broke down beneath the lows today. Was halted in the middle of the day. You don't always see that. Boeing halted midday here. Shares sold off about 3.33%. Like I mentioned, they applied for $10 billion in loans, but also the 737 MAX not getting up in the air. That's going to hurt suppliers, General Electric, Spirit Air. Oh,
hey, wait. Before you
General Electric, Spirit Aerosystems. Obviously, it's not going to be good news for them. So if you were to look at those stocks today, you probably notice a little bit of weakness there. No problem. That's going to be related to the Boeing news. And that's also the reason why the Dow was down more than the S&P, or lost twice as much percentage-wise. Boeing makes up the largest, or has the largest weighting on the Dow. And so because of that sort of that sell-off midday there, that helped take down a lot of those stocks. And so it's kind of a blending of those two things in there as well. What else we have? As far as earnings go, that would be our third focus area today. I don't think this is working very well. We'll go back to our usually regularly scheduled format tomorrow. But as far as earnings go, Netflix is the one everybody gets attention on. Remember, their fourth quarter earnings is always the most exciting. We pointed this out numerous times in addition to last fourth quarter. Yeah, we've been doing a show that long. So I believe the stock is a little bit higher. I believe it did end up higher. It's at about 1% at the moment there. Netflix beats on revenue. They added new subscribers of 8.76 million. That's better than the 7.6 million that was expected. However, they did a lot of things different in this earnings report from first glance. I didn't get a chance to read it all. First quarter forecast is at 7 million new subscribers. That's going to be a little less than expected there. I think they were expecting 8.5 million subscribers. But what they did is they broke it down by they broke it down even further. So instead of, I did it. You see what I did there? Come on, guys. I try to do things different. They just stick to the schedule. You know what I mean? So they tried to do things differently. They're breaking down actually subscriber growth in Canada, a couple other areas as well. So this was their quarter to really say, okay, we realize there's a lot of competition. We see a lot's going on out there. Here's how we're going to address that. And so you saw that kind of break down there. A couple other things as well. But all in all, good earnings report. Stock's a little bit higher. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. Looking pretty good there. For Netflix, that would be one of the names that just reported after the close here. So yeah, okay, perfect. Did it well. Who else do we have? IBM reported after the close as well. IBM, actually a good earnings report here. This breaks a bit of a streak for them. I've sort of teased them in the past. I think everybody's kind of teased them in the past. The stock's higher by about 4% after hours. They beat on earnings, beat on revenue. That breaks a 5-quarter losing streak, by the way. So good for them. Remember, they just bought Red Hat, they now fully acquired Red Hat. And so their cloud business now makes up 30%. That's what everybody wanted them to do. Everybody wanted them to grow that cloud business because everybody else like Microsoft, Amazon, and the works are kicking their butts. And so now 30% and growing, by the way, is good news for IBM. So that stock looking to have a very rare earnings gap higher tomorrow. So there you go. In other analyst news here, you got Uber higher. I'm sure some of you noticed today, up by about 7% because they got rid of a losing business. Uber Eats is not very profitable. It's not profitable at all, to be honest with you. But their Uber Eats India, they actually sold that off to their largest competitor over there in exchange for a small stake in that company. So they're not going to have to deal with that over in India. There was reports, I think, that they were going to try to do that here in the States. I don't see any of that. Uber seems very dead set. If you talk to the CEO, CFO, not that I have, but from their comments, that they're just hellbound to make their Uber Eats profitable here in the state. Well, in addition to their own business, they're not a profitable business. But so that was the news for Uber today. Investors cheered that one like that really well. Costco higher by 2.8% on the day. So Costco got an upgrade from Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer called it their top pick. And also they hinted that Costco is probably going to do a special dividend. They have been known to do special dividends of sizable amounts. However, I believe the CEO already said today they're not considering it at the moment, but they always consider it and would do it if it makes sense for them. But anyways, the analyst at Oppenheimer says, yeah, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Don't worry about it. So he's obviously very bullish on the stock. The stock made new 52-week highs today. All right, let's take a look at some individual sectors here today. You got tech stocks, which helped support us. Actually, if you notice throughout the day, you had the stock market trying to sell off a little bit throughout the day, just a little bit. And what'd they do? They came for tech stocks today. So your Microsoft, your Salesforce.com, your Amazon, they came for those stocks right away because what kind of a stock market are we in right now? We're in that stock market where everybody knows if you want the markets to go higher, I guess you just buy the FANG stocks and a couple others. And so that actually happened throughout the day. The NASDAQ went positive on the day at one point, but then we got the news of the outbreak of this person, or not outbreak, but somebody in Washington had actually contracted that virus, or has the virus, and is in the States, and the stock market sold off a little bit. Nonetheless, our tech stocks held us up for the day. Semiconductors were higher as well. They had two 52-week highs on the list today. Transports, we talked about that. They were weak on the day, not only from the airlines. Now, the headline news is the airlines that caused transports to pull back about 2% today. Delta, United, American, Southwest, JetBlue, things like that. They're all involved in this individual sector if you want to look at it. But also rails. I want to point out the rails here. Norfolk Southern pulled back 2.25%. Remember, their earnings haven't been great. Union Pacific, Norfolk Southern hasn't been really good. Let's take a look. Union Pacific also pulling back about 1.5%. CSX, not too bad there. They've got some issues they're working out in the rails. That makes up another large chunk of the transports. And so transports as a whole were not all airline related today. Basic materials down about 1% today. That's largely going to be from copper. If you happen to look at the price of copper overnight and into today, the price of copper sold off pretty good. So if you look at some of the copper miners like Freeport, I think that was your biggest loser in the category. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe Freeport was the biggest copper miner to be down today, or the biggest loser today, back to the 50-day moving average. Let's check. Southern Copper, 3.8. So, yeah, all right. But they all pretty much had a bad day today. That's largely going to be because of copper and weakness in the other miners. Healthcare hit new highs today, but didn't quite do a whole lot after that. Healthcare has been strong. You got things like Bristol-Myers kind of leading the way there, obviously 52-week highs today. Eli Lilly continuing to be strong. Didn't hit new 52-week highs today, but up 1%, looking good. A couple other sectors I'll point out, your defensive areas, places where people go when interest rates are low and they're maybe a little concerned about the markets. REITs up 1%, very comfortably away from the 200-day moving average here, looking good. This is a great example of how dead money doesn't do anything, right? Dead money does not attract new money. But once this wakes up, we've covered this day by day. Once it wakes up, notice how you didn't have to be the first person to bet on REITs bouncing off the 200-day or coming out of this little funk that it's been in for a couple months. You can be somewhere along the way and let that confirmation take place. It's kind of a great lesson, but I would translate it to stocks that are really beaten down, like your Occidental Petroleums and things like that. You don't need to just catch the bottom, like or Aurora Cannabis, right? You don't have to catch the bottom and try to just get that. You can let it wake up a little bit. You won't miss out on anything. I hope some of you guys pay attention to that. Utilities continuing their streak after pointing out the breakout here. So a great breakout, just lots of people wanting to be in utilities. You got low rates, obviously very defensive in nature. So if you're a little unsure of the markets, election season and all that great stuff, utilities doing well. Financials still hinting at making those new highs today. Naturally, wouldn't be the day that they would do that with a weak market, kind of a broad-based weak market, a little bit of a creep up in concerns and volatility, etc. But nonetheless, financials sitting at those highs looking pretty good. All really fine there for now, just a little pullback. Oil unable to get back above the trend line there. I'm going to leave these until oil makes up its mind. Naturally, oil is going to be affected by this virus as well, so we'll see how that progresses. But that's pretty much it in terms of sectors there. You got a bunch of 52-week highs today. You actually had 82 of them, right? We coming off a record here, 123 the other day. That'd be on Friday. That was a 2-year record. I pointed that out for you. But you had 83 new 52-week highs today. Not bad. You got home builders. Almost all the bigger home builders hit 52-week highs today. Lennar, Pulte Homes was in the mix as well. There you go, up about 2%. Dr. Horton also up in the mix as well, 52-week highs. I know it's not Dr. Horton, that's how I say it. Toll Brothers also hitting 52-week highs as well. Those are kind of the standout towards the top of the list. Costco is going to be up there as well. I mentioned some semiconductors helping us out earlier. You got some names like Micron and Intel in the mix. There you go, hitting 52-week highs. You might like, there's a couple others just off the top of my head. Garmin, a little bit of a breakout here, right? So Garmin officially kind of getting above that range. I like pointing out breakouts to you. I've mentioned that before. Visa continuing to continue with its rally to highs here, and Salesforce.com also on the list of 52-week highs. You actually do have some new lows today. Boeing would be an obvious one. We mentioned that one already. Broke down to 52-week lows today, losing the 3%. Cabot Oil. There you go. Big move down, Cabot Oil, with the weakness overall in that space, down 7.6%. And Delphi was also lower, 6%. So the stocks that did make new lows today, they weren't kidding around. Those are pretty significant drops there on the 52-week low list, is what I meant to say. We talked about Uber already. We talked about Costco. Home Depot was higher today, and it was just a little bit. Kind of, you might think that sort of is just an insignificant day, up about 0.5% today on its own. You might not really attribute much to it, but in Mexico, their labor union strike has ended. It's over, right? So Home Depot obviously enjoying the tailwinds from that. And Logitech, was that the other one today? There were so many I looked at today. Just excited to be back here working. 2.6%. Yeah, Logitech hit new highs today. And the news from this one was from their gaming and web conferencing devices is where they saw growth. What do you think that is by chance? Gaming and web conferencing devices. I don't have one in front of me, but we have no less than 4 of those Logitech webcams here just strewn around the office. There's one over by the door. That's where it's from, right? The gamers using them, obviously doing a lot of gaming and the streaming on Twitch, etc. And, of course, people like me that use them to communicate with customers and stuff. So they did well. Stock hit new 52-week highs. Not a stock you often look at, but obviously they're doing well. It's a good day. What else do we have for you? Tesla's looking to build a factory in Germany. I believe they bought some land outside of Berlin somewhere. And so that was that one. Also got another upgrade, kind of a ridiculous upgrade today, just kind of trying to grab attention. It was an $800 price target on that one. Don't need to talk about that. Tomorrow you got earnings, Abbott Labs, Johnson & Johnson, Kinder Morgan, Las Vegas Sands, which was a weak one today. Remember earlier we talked about anything travel related, tourism related, going to be hit. So Las Vegas Sands, 5.4% to the downside, but they'll report tomorrow. Their chance to sort of to hopefully recover from that. Raymond James Financial, which hit new 52-week highs, our local competitor here. They'll report earnings as well. Steel Dynamics and Texas Instruments in the semiconductor space, they will report earnings tomorrow if you're interested. There's no dividends, ex-dividends, or anything interesting coming up tomorrow, so I'll take my chance here and see if I can answer a few questions and get out of your way. I love it. Tesla, yeah, it was a good day for Tesla. Yeah, and the upgrade helps as well. 7% gain. People just getting carried away with that one. Yeah. Intel, yep, 52-week highs today. Visa looking good. Cool. You guys are all playing down. So M&Ms, that's a good way to say it. Visa needs to slow down. If you're a mid to long-term investor, you never like to see a stock go too far too fast. You will take the slow and steady, boring rally all day long. Under the radar, you know, at the end of a year, they go, can you believe it? That stock gained so much. It never really came up in the news or anything. That's what you want. Sounds like you don't want that, but that's what you want. Let's pay attention to Tesla. So if we watch Tesla here, pretend we're long-term investors in the stock. We don't own the stock here at Jazz Wealth, so I probably could talk about it without getting in any trouble. But let's just follow Tesla and see if this rally continues at this same level of speed. It will not. And so if you're a long-term investor, it makes it very volatile for you to invest. You prefer to have the slow and steady ones. So we'll play along with that one. Same with Visa. Yeah, same comment there. So you don't want to see that go too far too fast either. That's already had a really, really good long bull market run. For it to get peeling away as fast as it is not a good sign. I mean, it's exciting, but it's not a good sign. Yep. So we'll see. What will the impeachment trials have on the market? Nothing, unless we have some shocking revelation that the transcript was somehow edited to some degree and there was fraud involved there or something. Nothing. The market already knows this is going on. The market could care less. So it's not my opinion. It's the stock market. You can already see. We already know the process. We already know he's been officially impeached. We already know most of the rules that are going to use during the trial there. But markets don't care. They literally don't care. And if you think about it, today was one of those days where people were looking for a reason to sell. It's a virus. The virus was already there. right? But people wanted a reason to sell. They got a little bit. Boeing pulling the Dow back a little bit. They go, okay, maybe I'll sell a little bit. Everybody and their mother, all of you be honest, leave a comment. You're looking for a reason to take some profits off the table and invest cheaper. Imagine if the whole world's looking at the U.S. going, as soon as this thing cracks a little bit, I will then want to move to cash or move some portion to cash to try to buy a discount. Well, that's the reason why there's the saying, bulls take the stairs and bears take the elevator, because when everybody wants to sell, we fall a lot faster. Not that it's a bad thing. It's just, that's more than likely what's going to happen. Yep. If a 14-year-old kid has a part-time job, can they open a Roth IRA? Some places allow it, yeah. Be very careful. Make sure that that job is reportable income and the child is filing appropriate taxes and everything. But yeah. Fidelity, I believe, allows that. What do they call it? A kiddie Roth IRA. I believe they actually call it a kiddie Roth IRA. Kiddie as in Kiddie. Yep. Cool. What are the drawbacks to too far, too fast for growth stocks such as Visa and Tesla? Usually the volatility and the pullback. It is extremely rare that you see a stock like Tesla go and have one of these reverse waterfall type parabolic moves to the upside and then just stop. Usually the tide changes. It's just parabolic to the upside. People start plowing out of it. Analysts start going, this is way too far, too fast. And the stock sees a lot of action to the downside, which is not bad if you've been waiting for it to pull back. But for the person who's holding for the long term, remember, and this is something I want to focus on in more of the videos. It's super geeky, and you're going to bear with me. Some of these videos nobody's going to watch. But if you're a long-term investor, you want the least correlated portfolio with the least amount of volatility that offers the greatest amount of growth, right? So if you're in something like Tesla and you're real heavy in that Tesla, you don't want a lot of volatility. And so when a stock moves too far, too fast, it welcomes or invites volatility. So something I'm going to cover a lot more of, especially as we improve some of the data that we're working on back here, so I can actually show it. Rather than give you an opinion, I want to actually be able to show you. Bam! Take all of this, for example, give you an exact example. So that's coming. We're working on it. Yeah. Okay. Tesla is a lot of Tesla, yeah, it's a tough one. It's any stock that gets a lot of attention from headlines and analysts and things, it's going to tend to gap a lot as if it was earnings every day. That does happen. That'll calm down as well. But for now, yeah, it's a headline stock. Yep. There you go. Well, I think that'll do for today. We'll wrap it up from there. Remember, we're going to do the show tomorrow. We're going to do the show Thursday. We'll do our class for clients on Thursday night, which will be on Nest Egg. And then Friday, no closing beat. But I appreciate all you guys watching in the meantime. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I think that's officially everything I have to cover today. And we'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hey, wait! Before you go watch one of our other great videos, have you had a chance to see our new Fin Tips videos? They focus on one topic at a time, covering investing, personal finance, and anything that can quickly help you with your dough. Best of all, we'll keep it real short, because we know time is money.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.